Does the age of your first period, aka when you go into puberty, predict your fertility or when you're going to go into menopause? It's a great question. It's one that I get asked all of the time. The short answer is no. The age that you start menstruating, also known as menarche, does not reliably predict how long your fertility is going to last or when you're going to stop ovulating and go into menopause. Just because you got an early period does not mean you're going to have early menopause, and starting your period later isn't something that allows you to stockpile your eggs and have a longer reproductive lifespan, contrary to popular belief. What actually determines menopause is how many eggs you were born with and how quickly your body loses them over time. Most of us are born with 1 to 2 million eggs, and by the time puberty starts, we're already down to about 300K. And each month after that, we're losing hundreds to thousands of eggs. And this is despite the fact that if you're someone who ovulates regularly, has regular cycles, you're only releasing 1 egg every time that happens. And the rate of loss can vary from person to person. And that's what really influences when you'll reach menopause, not when you first started your period. A 2017 study that included 50,000 women showed that while women who had their first period before age 11 were slightly more likely to experience earlier menopause before age 45, the difference was actually quite small, and other factors like smoking, lifestyle, their BMI tended to play a much larger role. So then why do we ask you when you first got your period? Obviously, it matters. The age at which you first got your period can give us important clues into your hormonal and metabolic health. We know precocious puberty, which happens really early. It's defined as the onset of puberty before age 8 in girls. This is often a sign that your body was activated early. Your pituitary starts talking to your ovaries, and that by definition is what's happening during puberty. And sometimes there's no underlying cause. Sometimes it can be genetic. There can also be problems like brain tumors, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and other forms of exposure to excess estrogen externally. Girls with early puberty are known to be at higher risk of certain conditions later in life that can impact their fertility, like PCOS, insulin resistance, and obesity. We know that PCOS is one of the most common causes of ovulatory infertility, and it's associated with irregularity in your period. There can be signs of excess androgen levels like testosterone and the appearance of polycystic ovaries on an ultrasound. And so-called late bloomers who get their period at 15 or later, this could also signal that they have lean PCOS, regular PCOS, other hormonal conditions that could impact their future ovulation and fertility. So while age at first period isn't necessarily a crystal ball into age of future menopause or your future fertility, it can be an important health signal. So for anyone who's had their period very early or very late, typically before age 10 or after age 15, it's worth having a conversation with your doctor to talk about any possible underlying conditions and to understand what it might mean for your future reproductive health. And a PSA is that I hear a story all the time of people saying, by the time I was 15, 16, I didn't get a period and then a doctor put me on birth control. And what that tells me is we still haven't proved that they're able to ovulate on their own, because the birth control is giving you a fake period and giving you the necessary balance of hormones, but it doesn't necessarily prove that you ever actually were able to ovulate on your own, and that's something to be aware of. There is no way to predict with certainty when you're going to go into menopause. And all we have at our disposal are tools like ultrasound or blood work to check your AMH to tell you at this snapshot in time, in a relative sense, this is where we think your ovarian reserve is. And based on your age, this is where we think your egg and resulting embryo quality may be. And that's the best that we can do at this time.